Welcome back to Anime Death Spiral, the only anime podcast that refuses to learn from its mistakes. I'm Nate. As always, I am here with Remy. Remy, how you doing, bud?
Well, I'm frantically deleting shit off my hard drive, trying to make space for Baldur's Gate. We are sitting here now on the eve.
Yeah. BG3.
Yeah. Very, very excited. This is somehow a game I have been anticipating for 6 years and have also played 8 times. How is that possible? What the fuck is happening?
Name any other game where you can sink 120 hours into it in just the first chapter replays.
Well, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, it's sort of like it reminded me of my energetic youthful days where I would play a demo for a game like 100 times.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, you know, you get a demo disc or something and you would just play it over and over.
Top 3 demos. For me, I'll just go straight into it. Metal Gear Solid 2, Shadow of the Colossus demo, and that Rayman computer demo that you used to get with the Scholastic book catalog in middle school.
It's funny because mine would probably be like MGS1 PC demo. Halo 1 demo. Definitely like with a bullet. I played that demo hundreds and hundreds of times. That's just the second level when you finally land on the Halo. And you're just blasting grunts. Oh my god, it was so good. I still think that's the best Halo has ever been.
Just fucking blasting freaks left and right. That was a good
driving
feeling.
Driving around on the little island, just blasting little freaks. Oh, fuck, it was so good. And there was a demo, I want to say, I don't even remember what game this was, but this was a game that I played only, seemingly in my memory, only after like 1 a.m. Don't remember the name of the game at all. It was a game where you like fall down to a planet
that you played with a tissue box nearby.
That was after gaming, please. I'm a pure gamer. I don't do distractions like that.
Oh,
when I'm
okay,
gaming,
excuse me.
I'm gaming, okay?
Consummate professional.
I'm a consummate professional. You drop into a weird planet, and it's a first-person game. You're running around. Dinosaurs appear, but it wasn't Tomb Raider or Turok or any of that kind of shit. And there was like one place in the demo where you could run in and take cover, and it was like a maze filled with traps. And it was really brutal and anti-player. Like you would die to traps over and over and over again. And I don't know why I became so obsessed with it, but it's become legendary in my memory because I don't remember what game it was, but I played it over and over again.
That sounds awesome because I was just talking to a friend about how games need to become more anti-player again.
I mean, I do believe that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They should push back against you more often.
Was it like a first-person game? Like,
yeah, it was first-person game. You get a gun, but I remember the gun being like, because you land with a squad, and this was back when like having like NPC squads with you like was really novel and interesting. So the NPCs all like land with you and they all run off and die because they're all stupid and squishy. And so like you can pick up a gun off one of like their dead bodies once they fall into a trap or whatever. And that used to be my strategy. It's like you just follow them into the cave or the ruins or whatever. They get eaten by like a fucking trap. You just pick up off their dead body like a pistol or whatever, start blasting these raptors. Something like that. I wish I remember what that game was.
Damn. Sounds awesome. Guess we'll never know.
We'll never know.
I'm trying to remember. I signed up to Game Informer when I heard that there was going to be an included Shadow of the Colossus demo in the next month's issue.
Sure.
Like that's how much I cared. I had read the promo article the month before, and they said they're gonna put a demo disc in the next issue, and I'm like, fuck yes, this is it. Like, and it was like Shadow of the Colossus is great. Taught me that games can be art.
You're wrong. Incorrect. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I've wasted my life.
Yeah, you know what? There was a time where I thought that too, and every game since has proven that sentiment completely.
It's been
incorrect.
all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? I'm pretty sure that Zone of the Enders, its sales were entirely dependent on people wanting to play the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo.
Oh, yeah, it was. It totally was.
And I like that game. I like that game just fine. I like the robot designs. I thought it played well for, like, a 3D arena action game, but boy, it was not Metal Gear Solid 2. It was not even the intro of Metal Gear Solid 2.
It was not even the good part of Metal Gear Solid 2. Actually, it was, because on the disc, there was the only good part of Metal Gear Solid 2 right there. You could play the whole thing.
Okay, well, we're getting ahead of ourselves now. I don't feel comfortable saying that the tanker section is the only good part of Metal Gear Solid 2.
That's what makes you
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
well, you know, I am one of those rare defenders. One of those rare people that likes the Metal Gear Solid series.
We need to round up these Kojima stands and just figure this shit all out. That's what I say. We sit them down, figure this shit out.
And put them in FEMA camps.
Yeah, you know, same thing with Hideaki Anno fans.
Those fucking freaks.
Yeah, I watched Shin Kamen Rider because it was free, you know, and Baldur's Gate isn't out yet, so like, what the fuck else am I gonna do? It's literally just either sit and stare at the wall or watch free movies in my spare time. And Shin Kamen Rider just happened to be one of those free movies, so I threw it on, despite it being 2 hours long.
Wow, lengthy. Well, you know how I feel movies don't ever need to be longer than 90 minutes. If we can get it down to a tight 72, that's even better.
Movies should be 90 minutes. I mean, that's true. It's 100% true.
Sorry, Peter Jackson stans, you fucking simps. You're wrong. You're wrong for liking those movies.
If your movie has to be more than 90 minutes, make it into a BBC miniseries. How about that? So, I mean, right off the bat, I was already primed to kind of not like it. But I have to say, like, I really tried. I have my own squabbles with Anno. I've talked to you about it, obviously.
You know, you can't exist within the anime sphere without, like, the looming shadow of Hideaki Anno just kind of, like, being there, standing over everything at this point, right?
The Max Shrek, like, looming shadow.
Exactly.
His weird, hunched little thing. He won't make eye contact with you, but he will loom over your shoulder.
Well, it's like you bring a Max Shrek, like the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. He's just one big German expressionist shadow, like, angled over the entire, like, village. You know, like in Fantasia during the Night on Bald Mountain scene, and he just comes up from the mountain and spreads his deadly mist over the discourse of anime.
And to terrify staff and animators alike. I have to say, I mean, I've told you off mic, obviously, about my experience with the rebuild movies and having, like, basically a 180 in my opinion of it, watching the final one and reaching the end of the entire saga and going, wow, I actually do really like Evangelion. That last 20 minutes of that last movie really turned me around on the entire fucking series, which is, I mean, that's a hell of a magic trick. I will give him that.
You know, I'll give him that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, come on. To pull it out of the bag at literally the last second, pretty crazy thing to do. But then, unfortunately, I did carry that enthusiasm into watching the making of documentary. And that turned me right back around. Because, holy shit, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but they make Hideaki Anno look like one of the most insufferable little goblin men that has ever walked the earth. Like, he sucks so bad in that docuseries that I developed a deep discomfort and dislike of the man. And I know that's that's very, very unfair to him. Obviously, never met the guy. I don't know anything about him. As we know, the lens only captures what it wants to capture. You can't get a size of a person from a documentary. But damn, did I have a visceral reaction to that? Maybe even more powerfully visceral than Evangelion as a whole. And now when I watch his stuff, I see him. I see that little gremlin like hovering over everything, and it puts me off. It really puts me off. So I think I'm a little biased against Shin Kamen Rider coming into it. But also, like, do you have any connection to like Sentai stuff, just in general?
Well, you know, as a consummate 90s kid, I had a real big interest in the Power Rangers growing up. That was probably like my first real exposure, I guess, to what would turn out to be Japanese media. I was super into Power Rangers when I was like from the ages of like 6 to 8, I would say.
Right.
And then kind of from there, it kind of spiraled into the like Fox Kids morning lineup where, you know, you got Dragon Ball and Shaman King and all that stuff. And so
those two.
Yeah, the pipeline.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got the Dragon Ball Z, and from Dragon Ball Z, then you go to Toonami, and you got like Rurouni Kenshin. But it all starts somewhere, and I think for a lot of kids in our age group that are no longer kids, that are in fact decaying adults in their 30s, I think that Power Rangers was a big starting point. So yeah, that's about the extent. And also, you know, I was big into watching like the old Godzilla movies. I used to watch those with my grandpa growing up. We would go to the local video store that was run by a Japanese couple, and they had all the Japanese, like the original Japanese like Godzilla movies. So that's, I think, where I really got into watching stuff with subtitles over dubs, if I have to think back far enough. But,
sure.
Yeah.
And of course, Kamen Rider is also Toho, so you have that cool intro on it.
Yeah, so, I mean, about that. But I never got into Kamen Rider as a series. I never really got into the whole, like, tokusatsu movement. That was never really my bag, baby.
Me neither. I mean, I did obviously, like you said, I did Power Rangers, but that was really kind of the extent. And I really kind of bounced.
And by the way, hold on, I do want to clarify real quick that I was into Power Rangers, definitively not Super Sentai, which is an entirely different thing. Just wanted to throw that out there.
I mean, not entirely. It's kind of it's all the mush together stuff. Just because you know, they happen to do the old '90s trick of getting a bunch of coked out producers to tear apart something and put it back together all wrong, like some kind of piece of IKEA furniture. And force feed it to children.
Oh, they've been doing that since the 50s,
Super Sentai.
Since the first Godzilla movie.
Yeah, I know. But like, there is a language to that, and I feel like maybe just because it was like the 6-year-old in me that had already like felt like he had aged out of that particular like Sentai language. I feel like the way it is produced here, so uncritically and so like cringingly sincere in this Shin Kamen Rider, because also this is like the edgy Sentai where Hideaki Anno is like, Kamen Rider, he's like a really conflicted sort of like shades of gray superhero, and he kills people now. He's a Power Ranger, but like he kills people. And combining that kind of edgy,
I mean, that is cool though. That's really cool.
I mean, it's cooler than I guess it would be the other way, but it's that combined with a completely sincere reproduction of exactly that Power Rangers tone, which is, no offense to anybody involved in the Sentai stuff, but essentially completely brain dead. There are no thoughts involved. Nobody is thinking about anything. Nothing is being expressed beyond good guys are good and bad guys are bad. Even when you pretend like there's some kind of shades of gray to your main character. Yeah, you have to actually portray that. They always forget that part.
No, you can leave that to subtext. That just wastes film.
Yeah. It's just weird. It feels very jarring, and in one of those things where, like, there's lots of language here being spoken to me and that I don't understand. And not just because it was in Japanese. I mean, like, there's very, very specific visual references that, like, I just feel I don't have the affection for to particularly enjoy. And then the other stuff wrapping around it, I just felt like Ano has an incredible grasp of his own particular aesthetic, and I think he does certain things visually like a million times better than most directors ever get a chance to even attempt. But at the same time, he marries it to just the most insufferable fucking bullshit that I just cannot, as a grown-ass adult who has read more than one book, I cannot get behind anymore, you know? And also, this movie just doesn't end. It just goes, and then at some point it says, well, and then Kamen Rider rides off into the distance to do more Kamen Rider shit. And after spending 2 fucking hours with this shit, I was pretty pissed off about that. I don't necessarily need movies to, like, wrap up in a tidy manner, but, you know, like, have you ever seen Michael Mann's Thief?
No,
James
I've never
Caan?
seen Michael Mann's Thief.
Oh, you know, everybody talks about Heat being the Michael Mann movie. My personal favorite is Manhunter, the Hannibal Lecter one. But
I love Manhunter. Love me some Manhunter, baby.
But Thief is great. Thief is just James Caan being a horrible weirdo. Willie Nelson shows up and dies.
Dope.
In a cool way. Del Close is in this shit. Dennis Farina's in this shit. There's fucking incredible, like, safe cracking shit, just beautifully shot. In the similar way to Ano, like, Michael Mann is a dude who has almost supernatural grip on his own particular aesthetic without always having, like, anything to say. I think the difference is, like, Michael Mann is not... he doesn't despise humanity and human beings in the same way that Ano does, and he can actually hold a conversation with another human being. So, like, when characters are on screen in Thief, they're portraying, like, human emotion, and they're interacting with each other like a human being would, unlike anybody in any Ano production ever. So I think Mann comes off feeling a little warmer, and when Michael Mann's movies don't have an ending, like they usually don't, we are left with some kind of, like, emotional residue that we are left to our own devices to make something out of. I think in an Ano production, he just goes, and then it ended. Don't ask me any more questions.
Okay, well, it's funny that you're saying that. I haven't seen Shin Kamen Rider, and I haven't seen Shin Ultraman, and I don't think you have either.
I haven't.
But everything that you just said goes in the face of everything that I saw in Shin Godzilla, which was the first, Ano direction in this, like, Shin, like, Toho Productions revival thing that he's been doing.
Sure. And I haven't watched that in a long time. Maybe I should go back and watch it.
I would go back and watch it because I would say that the ending to Shin Godzilla was actually incredibly poignant and emotionally resonating for the themes of the film.
But that's because it's Godzilla.
Well, okay, so maybe that's a cheat sheet to having political discourse in your film.
Yeah, I don't remember it very well, but, like, all you have to do is do the ending of Godzilla, right? That's all you have to do.
Well, but that's the ending of Godzilla is he just walks back into the ocean for most of them.
Yes, usually he just walks back into the ocean.
But that's exactly what you said Kamen Rider did.
But Godzilla's like, well, I'm out. I did the thing and I'm out. And Kamen Rider, they're literally like, well, then he went off to go do more Kamen Rider stuff.
Well, that's just studio seating for a franchise.
You'd think that, right? But a narrator coming in and being like, and then more of the movie happened, but we didn't shoot it. It's going to happen off screen for you. And maybe we'll shoot it at some point. Like, that is different from, and then Godzilla beamed back to his home planet. Like, even that is an ending, you know?
I mean, Godzilla died in the first one, technically.
Godzilla can't die. He's made out of atomic energy.
Well, you've beat me there.
Yeah, I'm going to go see Oppenheimer this weekend, and I assume Godzilla will make a cameo.
I'm going to be disappointed if he doesn't.
That would be really fucking great. Oh, God. Anyway, yeah, so I watched that and I got some weird bad feelings. You know what? There's still some good stuff in it though. There's some incredible visual stuff that Anno can pull out.
Listen, I'm not saying he's a bad director. I'm not saying Hideaki Anno is a bad director. I'm just saying he's a bad person.
I'm saying he's a bad director. I'm saying that. But only because, like I said, I half jokingly, but I will say it very seriously right now, I don't think he knows how to direct actors. There was genuinely a point, like there's a character where I'm like, is she autistic coded here, or is this just like the performance that she had to come up with on the spot because he didn't know what to ask for? The main character's only form of actual physical acting in the entire movie is shaking like a lapdog. I don't know where this came from, but literally whenever it came time for him to show emotion, he just started shivering. It was the weirdest acting choice I've ever seen.
This reminded me of like George Lucas, like, hey, can you do it? That's great, but next time can you do it louder and with more feeling?
Well, I heard a story about Morgan Freeman on being on set, and he was like, I just tell the directors now, you can tell me one of two things, either go faster or go slower. I don't listen to direction anymore outside of that.
I'm just doing the Morgan Freeman thing.
If you hire Morgan Freeman, you get the Morgan Freeman voice. That's it. You can't tell me what to do.
I'm Morgan Fremont.
And like maybe that's, you know, if you're not going to be an actor's director, I think you do have to have people who can bring their entire fucking skill set to bear on the material themselves. I just don't think like Anno is the kind of dude who can do that. He's not Machiavellian like Stanley Kubrick is. He's not personable like...
Name a personable director. I'll wait. Yeah, exactly.
Wes Anderson. Those guys, they love working with him. That's why he has that stable of actors working with him over and over again. Every interview you hear people talking about him, they say he is beautiful to work with because he is a collaborator. He is somebody who can talk somebody through emotionally in a scene. You know, they know what he wants. He knows what they can give. Anyway, the point being, whether you like his movies or not, he's a person who is known particularly for the way he can interact with actors, and I don't see that in Anno character. But I'm obviously super biased here. Maybe I'm just reading way too much into it. Anyway, I thought Shin Kamen Rider kind of sucked.
All right. Give it a letter grade.
4.
Yeah.
4.
Give it a letter grade. 4.
You can do the rest if you want.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we take a quick break and then I can tell you why I fucking hate anime this week. Okay, welcome back to Anime Death Spiral. I, unfortunately, have once again been reading anime. This was a foolish action upon my part.
You fucked up.
I really fucked up. I don't know, I will have to say this, dear reader, every once in a while, we are not immune to what we preach against. We are not immune to the anime death spiral.
Hey, who's we? What the fuck?
I need your support in this.
Okay. Look, I didn't mean to go on a big rant against Hideaki Anno. That was not intentional, but Nate's trying to pull me into his thing, but he wants to rant himself. And I want to sit back and let him dig this hole. It has nothing to do with me. I tried to warn you about Anime Dog, and you were like, nah, anime's probably good. And I was like, dude, no, it's not. and you were like, "No, I'm gonna give it another shot. I really think this time.
I thought anime might be good.
You thought
just
it might
for
be good
once.
One time.
I thought it might be good,
and you were like, "I'm gonna give it one more chance. I really think it might be good this time." But was it good? Was it good, Nate?
It was not good.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No.
What did you read?
Oh man, I have been under a lot of stress lately, so I spent the last week reading all of Girlfriend, which devoted listeners, I know you're out there, will remember from way back when I made you do that one chapter challenge on all of the horrible rom-com anime that I could find.
Yes, and you clearly forgot what I said about Girlfriend, which was that it is irredeemable trash. But you ignored me. You ignored me.
I did. I ignored all of your warnings. I went back. I read through. I got hooked in. It genuinely tricked me for a while into thinking that it had like interesting ideas and concepts that it could explore with the central joke of a guy that has two girlfriends. But at the end, and I'm really talking about at the end, it had me going up until the final 15 chapters or so, and it torpedoed every interesting take that it had presented up to that point.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's set the stage. You probably don't remember, but Girlfriend is about a guy who wants to fuck two girls at once. It's two at the same time, man.
No, that's not. Well, first of all, he doesn't have $1 million. He
doesn't
so
even have $1 million. Though he does have his own place.
Yes, as is standard rom-com fashion, his parents work away on business.
Whatever that means. It's really shady. Someday we have to break down what the actual employment status of these parents are. I'd really like to visit that sometime.
But no, you're getting it wrong, because he actually explicitly spends most of the series actively not wanting to fuck any of these women.
So he has one girlfriend, and then somehow he gets two girlfriends.
Well, okay, first we have to go back a little bit. We have to establish him, and all of the best parts of his character have been done better in other manga that you've turned me on to. But he's the guy from Overly Honest Boyfriend, or whatever that one was called. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
A guy is pathologically unable of telling anything but the harshest truths about
he's overly honest. He's just overly honest.
He's overly honest. This guy, the main character of Girlfriend, Naoya Mukai is his name.
Wow,
he is
really?
Yeah.
Mukai?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Why?
That comes up in a bunch of other comics I've been reading. I don't know.
Maybe it's just a common last name. I don't know.
I guess so. Okay, sorry, go.
His thing is that he is, in fact, pathologically unable of saying anything other than the truth, including how he feels and what he wants in any given situation.
He seems to have some kind of mental illness that prevents him or maintains a level of earnestness that is frankly self-destructive.
Absolutely. Self-destructive is a great place to start with this guy. Honest to the point of self-destruction. And he starts off with one girlfriend, his childhood neighbor, that he grew up having a crush on and spent the last 10 years trying to get her to go out with him. And finally in high school, she agrees to be his girlfriend. And not soon after, he is approached by a second girl who says that, like, wow, I saw how devoted you are to your current girlfriend, and I want to be your girlfriend too. Like, is that cool?
Wait, is that really how it goes down? Because I seem to remember she doesn't know about the first girlfriend. Because I think one of my...
No, she absolutely knows.
She does? Okay, yeah. I might have misremembering then.
No, that's not what happened. So we have our main dude Naoya and his number one girlfriend, Saki. And now we have girlfriend number 2, Minase, and her whole deal is like, I saw how devoted you are to your girlfriend, and that like really does it for me, so I want to be your girlfriend too, but I don't want you to stop dating her. Like, that's how it starts off, which I thought was, obviously a setup for a boner comedy, as it is, but was also a genuinely interesting take on how I thought they were gonna plan this thing out. But it turns out that is just an excuse for her character to not be a character at all. But that is much farther down the line. One of the things that I really liked about the dynamic when they first introduce it is that, like, to explain why he's never seen her at school before, because she does do the thing where she just approaches him out of the blue. She's never talked to him before. She's just observed this relationship from afar and fell in love with it. And
that must be what I was thinking of. That he had never seen her. He had never seen her.
He had never seen her until she asked him out.
Yeah, which is psychotic.
And it turns out that it's because she didn't go to school. She decided to skip her first semester of high school to practice cooking so that she can woo him easier.
Yeah, so she's criminally insane.
It would seem that way, which would have been another great angle for them to go with this.
At first, I thought that's what they were going for.
No. Again, any interesting thing they do with Minase's character up through the end of the story gets totally sidelined by never following through.
I can't believe you reached the end. It's so insane.
I had to see where it went.
Okay.
To its credit, like when they introduce, like when she says like, I didn't go to school so that I could learn to be your girlfriend better. Like, his first reaction is like, wow, that's insane. You shouldn't have done that. Also, I feel really bad that you did that for me because I'm totally not worth it.
Yeah, that's a super weird thing to do.
Yeah.
Also, you do not know who I am.
That's what tricked me into thinking that there was going to be an actual thoughtful, like, follow through on all of these concepts. Is because he starts off being like genuinely guilty about this situation. I mean, first of all, this dude is a piece of shit because he falls in love with her instantly as soon as she says she wants to be his girlfriend.
Yeah, that should have shook you out of your delusions immediately.
Yes, it did not. And in fact, he does go on to basically pressure Saki into this relationship. But that kind of gets muddled later on because they do this whole like side thing where they kind of lampshade that she's bisexual anyway and is like super into it.
Yeah, wow, super convenient. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, for a while, they were kind of like angling towards like she's just going to date this chick and kick him out of the whole thing, which I also thought would have been very funny.
Yeah, and it's funny because I had the same thought kind of early on when I was reading it, and it was because I read this Yuri comic a while back about two girls who initially meet because one's boyfriend is cheating on her with the other girl, and they begin as antagonists, but fall in love with each other and kick the dude out. Which is great. That's funny. It's fucking great.
Comedy gold.
It's very funny and it's very cute, and they end up realizing like they have actual emotional connection with each other that they could never have with him because he was a stupid piece of shit. Great setup. And when we get into it a little bit in Girlfriend, I thought, oh shit, the same thing is going to happen. But no, it does not.
It does not happen. So that was, again, tip-off number 2, that this was not as high-minded as I really, really wanted to give it credit for.
The warning signs are popping up all over the place, but you're ignoring these flags. You're ignoring the flags.
The next thing that I thought was, that caught my interest about the whole thing was they introduce girlfriend number 3, who's not really a girlfriend.
Not officially. She doesn't join the roster.
She is introduced as someone who wants to steal him away from his two current girlfriends, and she wants him all for herself, and she's gonna woo him away from his two chicks at once.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, and that can go pretty much exactly where you think it could go, but I was really taken off guard because every advance she makes to the point of comedy, he, instantly, unflinchingly turns down. Like, he makes it super clear that he is just genuinely not into this chick at all in any capacity, and he just really wants to focus on like figuring out what his current relationship is, and like whether or not he's even has like sufficient consent from these people to be doing it.
What is it that he doesn't like about that third girl?
She's kind of your standard, not like yandere archetype. She's not that violent, but she's a famous, quote unquote, famous YouTuber. Like, that's her character.
That's enough. Say no more.
Yeah.
YouTuber.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
And so it becomes an ongoing joke throughout the series that she is spending increasingly absurd amounts of money to concoct these plans to make him fall in love with her. Okay,
so she's the princess.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, this is a very familiar archetype, yes.
Absolutely. That's a good way to put it. YouTuber princess.
Yes. Did you read that one about the girl, the princess, who traps her entire class in a death game so that she can like flirt with the guy she's into?
No, but that's awesome.
It's kind of good. It's better than this anyway.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So you've taken us most of the way through here. What was the final ankle break that brought you down?
The final nail in the coffin was, as you would imagine, introducing a fourth love interest.
Oh shit.
Who is, the platonic childhood best friend of his first girlfriend, who has also secretly harbored a crush on him from afar. She's more or less of a non-character. Like, her joke is that he's constantly getting into like Three Stooges gags involving her clothes falling off. That's about the extent of her character.
Great.
She's simping for him, but she doesn't want to hurt her best friend's feelings, so she's resigned to never showing her true self. Yeah, you know the type.
But she hasn't discovered his quote-unquote polyamory at this point?
Well, they hide it from her for a long time. She does eventually find out. I forgot to mention, all of these girl characters end up living in the house with him for some reason or another. By
Even
the
the
end
princess?
Of the series. Yes. Her whole deal is that she's forcibly squatting, tent camping in his yard because he won't let her live in the house.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Let that sink in.
I don't even know what to say about that. That is just truly egregious.
Anyway, the final nail was, as you might expect, having all of these women fall in love with him and him reciprocate all of their love at the end of the series, so that they are now in a fivesome couple, which can be written well, I guess, but I thought it was genuinely more interesting when it was just about these three people trying to figure out what their relationship meant in opposition to how they perceive what society would think of them. Because that is kind of like one of the big punchlines to the series, is that finally, after trying to hide it for so many chapters, their class finally finds out that they're all dating, and the joke is that nobody cares.
Really? I thought the joke would be like, all the dudes beat him to death in the parking lot.
No, they actually, they lampshade that a bit, because they have, like, the entire class is just like, oh yeah, wow, so what? It's 2023, no one cares, like, what you do in your private life. And one dude in the background is like, well, that makes me jealous. And the classmates around and were like, yeah, that makes you creepy. You're a creep, dude.
You're the creepy one.
Yeah. Which, again, one of those funny little details that had me going right up until the end.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But no, at the end, it just turns out exactly how you think a stupid boner power fantasy like this would turn out.
You know, the funny thing is, there's about like 100 indie French movies about
about exactly this.
About this scenario, brimming with this like static charge of ennui and like teen dangerously powerful teenage emotions clashing, and people trying to find their own sexuality and their own boundaries with each other, and like these girls getting tangled up with him and with each other, and like getting into like fights and falling out and forming like other polycules, and then all exploding because of internal drama, and all of this stuff kind of resulting in this really bizarre and like sort of depressing statement on what it means to like grow up and like put excitement and danger in your life behind you and move on to becoming like a much more boring and responsible adult. You know,
well, you call it that, I call it stability.
Sure, stability. But I'm assuming they never actually make the leap to like these girls sharing their emotions with each other.
No, that's the thing. They do.
Even after there's 4 of them?
No, that's the thing. If you stop the story maybe 15, 20 chapters before the final one, then it is more or less exactly that story. It would end with them realizing that not only do they love this guy, but they are actually in love with each other too, and in love with the relationship and not just any one person individually. And then they tack on 2 more girlfriends.
Right, that's what I mean, is like when the extra girlfriends enter the picture.
Yeah.
When the ancillary girlfriends, the bench warmers. Yeah.
And they're like explicitly not in that kind of emotional relationship with those 2 other characters.
They seem openly antagonistic, in fact.
They are, yes.
Yeah.
They literally settle their character arcs by saying like, I'll just choose to get along with you because I wanna fuck this guy so much.
Yeah.
Which is awful, and it made me feel bad.
It is depressing that exists, and is something that like is completely lacking in any kind of introspection or ability to at least ability to land the plane or get out of its own way, I guess. Can I offer you the antidote?
Please give me anything to take this out of my brain and replace it with something else.
This is really funny that you ended up reading this. This is, I swear to God, this was not planned or anything. Because the thing I wanted to talk about last week that I ended up talking too much about all the other stupid shit that I left it off the list is Okaeri Alice by Oshimi Shizu. And Oshimi Shizu is somebody we've talked about before. You read Inside Mari.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I read Happiness, which I still think is like really, really fantastic on all fronts. The art is incredible. Its take on vampires is incredible. And in fact, after reading Okaeri Alice and bringing that reading into Happiness is like really, really fascinating because I'm looking at it in a completely different dimension. But Okaeri Alice is sort of girlfriend. It kind of is. Check this shit out, because you tell me if things kind of line up. Not necessarily in a strict sense, but you tell me if things start feeling a little familiar. We have a trio of young friends, right? There's 2 boys and a girl. For simplicity.
All right. Sounding, well, not super familiar at this point. We got some genders flipped.
Well, hold your horses, buddy. Yeah. I only say that out of simplicity's sake. One boy, our main boy, the kind of dorky boy, he's the glasses wearer boy. He has a friend very, very close with the other boy, and begins to feel sort of uncomfortable with it because he realizes their female friend is way more into him than it is into dorky glasses boy. And he's trying to work up the courage to ask her out. And before he can do it, one day he happens to like turn a corner and he catches the girl asking his friend out, right?
Right.
And this really fucks him up. And his friend is like, I don't know about this. I'm not sure I feel that way about you. And the girl's like, really, please, I really care about you. And he's like, okay, tell you what, let me try this. And he grabs her and he gives her a fucking kiss. He pulls her close, gets that kiss going. And meanwhile, our glasses dork is like watching, and it's like tearing him up inside. He is just like developing cancer at that moment. And he fucking dips. He like fucking just runs off. Basically does not talk to either of these people again. He finds out almost a couple days later that his friend that he's so jealous of has also dipped, like out of the fucking state, prefecture, whatever they call it. Whatever you people call your weird borders. Region. He literally goes across country to get away from them. And so he's left with his awkward feelings for his friend and his awkward feelings for this girl that he can no longer feel like he can even talk to, right? Because this horrible cancer has been festering inside him. Until you cut, 3 or 4 years later. They're gearing up to like finish up high school. And he's finally feeling comfortable enough. This new school year starting, he's like, I'm gonna bring my new energy, my new personality and energy. I feel like a real person again. I'm putting it all behind me. I'm gonna ask her out. And that day, a beautiful, mysterious girl transfers into his class, and really kind of emotionally throws a whole wrench into this thing. She seems to be overly familiar with him for some reason. He can't really figure it out. He's like, how does this girl know me? Why is she being so overly familiar with me?
I see where this is going.
Yeah. Basically, this girl's like, hey, remember when we were kids and I taught you how to masturbate? And he's like, wait, what are you? And she's like, yeah, I'm your friend. I came back, dude. What's up? I'm a girl now. Well, it's more complicated than that, but I would prefer to be treated like a girl. And he's like, I really don't know how to feel about this. And the girl that he had this crush with this whole time, and who had a crush on his friend, really doesn't know how to feel about this. Really, really intense emotions being spread out all over the place. Basically, we come to this understanding, right, where we have entangled these 3 people into this like really like gut-wrenching psychosexual conundrum where his friend, his transgender friend, who is now identifying as a girl, has always liked him and has wanted to have a deeper relationship with him, even potentially a romantic relationship with him, but understands like that this is a little much, especially after going, full dark mode for like a few years and reappearing like this. Meanwhile, the girl has been obsessed with the friend who is now a girl and can't get that vision of her out of her mind, and is so jealous that she decides to start dating Glasses Dork, basically out of revenge. And Glasses Dork is
spite relationship.
Yes,
those
and Glasses
well.
Dork is trying to figure out like how he feels about this, because he's caught between like he's developing like these sexual feelings that he feels alienated from, because on a level that he can't quite understand, he knows that this girl doesn't have his best interests at heart, and his friend is probably more like honest with him, but he doesn't know how to feel about, the gender dynamics going on there. He feels weird about them, but he feels weird about himself and his own gender. And now that these things are all coming to a head, they're all confronting each other and becoming like sexually active with both of these people at the same time, and them clashing with each other, and like all this like spite and jealousy and hatred like boiling up through all of this gender confusion. It basically makes him like kind of temporarily go insane.
Whoa, hey, buddy! I just want a grill.
Yeah, well, he and all of this is really, really interesting, and the way they treat his reflection on his own experience of his male gender and his experience with his friend's gender transition and his experience of his other friends' jealousy through this lens of like not understanding or rejecting his other friends' gender transition is all cut together with Oshimishizu's essays about their own struggle with their gender from a real standpoint. And Oshimishizu writes about his childhood and his experiences growing up and coming to understand the complexity of his own feelings about his gender. And I do believe that Shizu does identify as a man still, but he has a lot of interesting things to say about that, and he talks a lot about like the feeling of being male but not identifying with masculinity, and it comes from the real place in these essays, and it is also reflected in more interesting ways through these fictional characters, and this all comes to a head when these three characters like attempt to initiate a relationship with each other. And so basically we have girlfriend again. Except about 1,000 times more emotionally confrontational and interesting.
You know, yes, absolutely. It does sound like that. I still have a hard time because Girlfriend, it's one of those ones that can only convey the disappointment of seeing someone just barely not get it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It had so many of these concepts that it was obviously conscious of and just did not push the envelope far enough or in any meaningful way to have like a interesting take on them in the end. It sounds like this does, and so I'm super into it. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it sounds much like the main character of Okaeri Alice. It sounds like you were edged against your will with this unsatisfied conclusion. I really, really love Okaeri Alice. I think it challenges manga's typical expression of gender and even its typical expression of transgender, which comes up, a fair amount in the amount of manga that I've read, at least, and in rom-coms it happens a lot, and it's generally not treated as seriously as something like in Okaeri Alice, where it is like fully explored from a few different angles too, not just like a trans femme or a trans man or somebody considering transitioning, but from a person who is a male and is grappling with what that means and is feeling alienated from the concept of masculinity itself, and coming at it from that angle is entirely unique. And I can't praise it enough. I think Okaeri Alice is like genius level shit. I think it's beautiful, and it is emotionally honest and devastating and interesting and uplifting too. It's not all bad stuff. It's an entire gamut of emotions. It's beautiful. It's another one of those things where it feels weird to talk about because it's like it's actually good and beautiful and like and like
that's
good.
Not what we're here for.
Yeah,
people.
It's like good for humanity that this exists and is a piece of art, unlike everything else. On that tip, I did read its polar opposite though, not Girlfriend,
and not You and I Are Polar Opposites.
Yeah, not You and I Are Polar Opposites. Is much worse than either of those.
Okay, hold on. Why don't we take another quick break and you can tell me about it when we get back?
Okay. All right. Okay, before I was so rudely interrupted, I was about to just absolutely fucking dropkick the shit out of another manga. We spent way too much time talking about something good, so we really need to like wrap up with some bad stuff. What do you think about that?
Well, we can make a sandwich. Girlfriend, Okaeri Alice. What do you got?
Yeah. So the other this was my gender block that I was going to talk about. There's a few other like quote unquote gender things I read recently, but this was the other big one because it was so bad and so insane. I read Blue Drop as well, and I honestly don't know how or why I ended up reading all of it, except for that there wasn't actually that much in it. But Blue Drop, a manga ostensibly about gender. Now,
I don't know anything about it. I've never heard of it before.
Yeah,
Tell me about Blue Drop.
And nor should you. No one should have heard about Blue Drop. I don't know why I read it. I wish I hadn't. I wish I could erase it from my brain. So here's my attempt to purge it. Blue Drop is about a world post-colonization by a race of women aliens. There are only women. There are only women aliens. You think so, but hold on. They've essentially enslaved all of Earth. Now, at the beginning, this is pretty much not important. What is important is that a guy living his pretty normal manga life happens to come home one day, and there's like a girl sitting on his doorstep. And she's like, hey, sorry about this, but like we have to fuck each other. And he's like, oh, that's weird. What are you doing here?
But okay.
Well, to his credit, he isn't like, okay. He's like, get out of here. You're fucking crazy. What are you doing? And she's like, I don't have anywhere else to go. We have to fuck. And he's like, no, get out of here. She's like, fine, I'll be back tomorrow though. And he's like, don't come back. And he goes into his house and he's like thinking about it. He's like, that was really weird. I wonder what my best friend who disappeared a few years ago would make of this. Well, anyway, I'm going to go to sleep. And I'm not going to think about that again. The next day he comes back.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, he comes back and this girl is sitting on his doorstep. She's sucking on her own toes. And she's like, this is hot, right? And he's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? I'm not into feet. I'm not a feet guy. And she's like, really?
Wait, hold on. That doesn't sound normal.
Yeah. Well, this is a fantasy world, okay? The girl's like, hey, you're not into feet? Well, check this out. She starts gagging herself. He's like, I'm not into that either. That's gross. She's like, what are you into? What, are you a normal guy?
She's just shooting blindly here, taking guesses.
She is, and he's like, "This is, you're trying to fuck me, but this is not turning me on. This is really turning me off." And she's like, "Okay, look, I literally am homeless right now. Can I at least come in?"
I'm imagining that blackjack segment about, ma'am, what are you doing?
Yeah, yes.
This is a place of medicine. I am trying to do a surgery.
This bed has been taken for the night. You'll have to find another one.
Ma'am, please stop sucking your toes and go home.
She comes in. She's like, hey, look, I don't have anywhere else to go. At least let me take a shower. And he's like, fine, as long as you don't try to seduce me again. She's like, no promises.
Man, fuck this guy.
Yeah, he's pondering. He's like, wow, I really wish my best friend was here. He would know what to do about this weird situation. And the girl comes out and she's like, hey, check it out. I'm actually going to fuck you now. And he's like, dude, I'm not going to fuck you. She's like,
what did I just say?
Yeah. And she's like, I'm not going to take no for an answer, but like not in a rapey way. Don't say that. It's just that I really want to fuck you, and I know you want me to fuck you. And he's like, no, I really. Oh my god. Now that you're so close, aren't you my best friend? And she's like, you weren't supposed to figure that out. And then, fucking women alien space cops bust into the house. They're like, you weren't supposed to find out that was actually your best friend that we force femmed. And he's like, oh no,
whoa.
Wait, what? Oh no. And they're like, we're going to kill you now. And his friend is like, wait, I can still fuck him. I promise we can still fuck. I promise.
I'm sure that we can still resolve this in a reasonable fashion.
Yes. She's like, okay, he found out that you force femmed me into this chick so that I could fuck him and complete the experiment. But I promise I can still talk him into it. And the friend's like, well, if it's a choice between dying and fucking my force femmed best friend, I suppose I can at least try to fuck him.
Oh, woe is you.
Yeah. But they can't. He just cannot get out of his head, and so they have like a 3-day time limit, and the whole time.
To be fair, I'm not sure that I could do that either.
It's weird.
It's weird. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, and also the friend is like, I really don't want to fuck you. Like, I'm still into chicks. Like, I'm not into guys. I just have a female body now, and so that's making it weird. I just thought,
despite all the gender stuff, this is like objectively an unsexy scenario.
No, it's not sexy at all. And get this, just gets so much weirder. It's way weirder.
How?
Okay, so they end up almost running out of time. They kind of go, like at last second, they kind of go on the lam, and he ends up accidentally, because he feels weirded out, so he goes on a walk, and this chick
I feel weirded out.
Yeah, and he accidentally ends up in the all women district, and
as you do.
Yeah, because it is explained to us, these female aliens have basically enslaved Earth just so that they could fuck our women. And they have genetically re-encoded their bodies so that they can only reproduce with other women. And so they're in the middle of a project to basically turn all of Earth's women into lesbians.
Okay, stop. This is a fetish comic.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I don't understand why it's not just porn. Like, does it have a good reason for just not being that?
I don't know, but you know what? There's surprisingly little porn in this. Even in straight comics, just like not straight, but like not Arrow comics. There is more
heterosexual comics.
Not heterosexual. I mean, like mainstream. These terms are getting confusing. It's hard to talk about this stuff. Okay.
Listen, we live in a society.
Yes. Look, the point being, he accidentally gets put into drag to save his life and discovers that a community of men living secretly in drag has just existed kind of underneath the surface, and he's been sucked into it. And to preserve his own life, he now has to basically live in drag at an all-girls school without revealing to himself, and also his best friend, who is a girl, and also another guy who has a crush on him, who is also in drag. They all have to live together at this all-girls school.
This sounds very convoluted.
It is. It gets insanely convoluted because also another alien chick shows up, and she turns out to be the general of the aliens, but she's secretly running clandestine experiments to revive the males of her species, and she needs his balls to do it. But she gets betrayed by her own military staff, and they try to kill her off in a really violent scene that's really messed up. And they try to throw a coup and try to just eliminate him because they no longer want the fucking to happen, because it turns out that deep in his semen is the genetic code that can exist to bring back the males of their species somehow. And they get into an intergalactic warfare, and a bunch of male gorillas show up, and they try to liberate the human race from the aliens, and it gets very messy. And basically, his best friend, he never ends up fucking his best friend, who his body disintegrates or something due to like genetic instability.
Of course.
Yeah, and so he remains a virgin the whole time.
They did the Gynax ending.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, they pull a Gynax. So nothing gets concluded. They don't resolve any of the weird gender shit. Everybody is gender queered against their will, essentially.
But that's not like an actual premise. That is just that's just a fetish that they wanted to put in the story.
It is a sequence. I can't call it a narrative, but it is a sequence of events. It is.
That makes me feel disgusting, and I want to take a shower now.
It was really weird, and it was, again, I only finished it because it was like 20 chapters, and the momentum itself of the weirdness carried me through. And on top of the Okaeri Alice stuff, I felt like, oh, well, this is another very strange gender thing. I should just see this out. I regret I did. But now I have cursed you like the tape from The Ring. Now you know of this thing too, and
I'm going to go read all of it.
I'm
going to go read all of it right now.
Yeah, this is more your speed. I think this is still somehow this is still this is still somehow more satisfying than Girlfriend. I will give it that.
I was genuinely depressed upon finishing Girlfriend, so it can only go up from there.
Yeah, exactly. I think you would have honestly. I think potentially, like, odious as Blue Drop is, still a better time than Girlfriend. I can guarantee you that. It's cursed, but it's still more fun than that.
You know, I'm looking for stuff that breaks the mold, you know. As stupid as that sounds, like, I want to be genuinely surprised by their take on a modern concept like romance.
Sure. Who doesn't?
Yeah. And it like I said before, it hurts when they wander so close to having a good idea and completely ignore it. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating.
No, it sucks.
I can't say that Blue Drop is going to be any better than that, but it does sound more interesting. No,
it's at the very least, it fucks with you, and it fucks with your brain chemistry in a not a pleasant way, but at least in a novel way. I can give it that. I will say this is a problem that we spoke of many, many times, even since we started this podcast, of the betrayal of the premise, right?
Yes.
We've talked many times about this.
So the premise with Girlfriend was he genuinely just wanted two girlfriends, and then every other relationship was in opposition to that concept until they just threw away that because they wanted him to have all the girlfriends. That's really what killed me about it. Yeah. You know, in summary.
Yeah, it sucks.
Sorry.
Sort of.
Sorry, it still hurts.
No, I know. And it took a premise, and you can see the way that you can see the golden path, right, from page one in most of these concepts, because the concept itself, honestly, is great in a lot of these things. It's sort of like I talked last time about Otoman, husbandman.
Yeah. Great title. I love that.
I know, it's funny. It's good. You know, the funny thing, the disappointing thing about that I found about that, and I didn't get too far into it, so I can't say it if it goes one way or the other, but the thing I noticed, the trend I saw going with that, was that this is husbandman, but almost immediately they sideline the wife, and he doesn't spend a lot of time with his wife, which is a mistake for a comic called Husbandman.
Well, it's called Husbandman, not Wife Guy.
It's just, yeah, I mean, you can take it in different ways. I think it sucks that oftentimes these comics sideline what makes them interesting almost immediately. It happens often.
It's the cardinal sin of the manga for me, is betraying your good idea for whatever reason.
Yeah.
In this case, I have no doubt that maybe the author was even consciously like trying to work in some of these more complex ideas into the story, and editors is like, no, we have to do this by the harem comedy book. Like, that's what this is.
Well, I often say, and I really don't know, I don't have any particular insight here, but I often do blame the professional editors who will step in and try to force more profitable archetypes onto an interesting premise. You see it happen all the time. I can never nail it down 100% if that's what's actually happening, but it feels like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like it.
It does feel like it, in this case for me at least, but also it could just genuinely be a case of an idiot savant situation, someone haphazardly wandering near an actual nugget of interesting narrative and then wandering away again.
Yeah, it's sort of, I think I mentioned at some point I had started a comic that was really interesting. It was about a post-mortality humanity. Everyone had become immortal, but there was a disease that turned people back to mortals, and it was a transmissible disease, and they weren't sure what the mechanism was. So instead of trying to solve it, they developed a secret police force that would go around hunting mortals and killing them.
Wow.
Which is fucking
straight to fascism. Okay.
Yeah, it's straight to fascism. And the thrust of the first couple chapters is that there is a friend of the mortals who is trying to save their lives and smuggle them away from scenarios like that, which is great. Oh my god,
friend of the mortals.
Yeah, it's fucking cool as hell. But almost by chapter 2, it turns into the most boring police procedural you could possibly imagine. And that fucking sucks. It sucks so bad because that's such a good premise.
Yeah.
We see it all the time.
Betraying the premise never feels good whenever it happens.
Yeah. There was I can name so many comics that I got immediately bummed out over. Big ones too that I feel like ran for a really long time. You know, there was one called Death Do Us Part that I thought was, it's not the most original setup, but it's like a girl with sort of she has the ability to kind of tell the future, or at least divine future outcomes, is kidnapped by like a mafia, a yakuza or whatever, and they're going to use her to
This
win
started
horse
to sound
races.
familiar. I think you've told me about this before.
Yeah, it's called Till Death Do Us Part. One day, she divines that a man will come along who she can rely on to save her life. So she jumps out of a taxi cab and runs, and she finds this blind guy. And the blind guy saves her life by, like, being a badass. And that's a cool setup, but it almost immediately falls into, like, oh, it's actually about the blind guy and how cool he is and how he's part of a secret organization that, like, hunts criminals and shit. And it sucks. It sucks shit. It completely ignores the entire premise that sucked people in to begin with, to become, yet again, the most brain-dead fucking, like, action tropes you can imagine. It's just such a bummer.
That pretty much sums up anime for me as a whole.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bummer, man.
It is a bummer, man. But you know what? I have one final cap on the gender thing before we wrap up. Because this is just a thing that happened this week, and it's felt like almost too perfect. But so in France, you might be familiar with this thing that they speak in France. It's called French.
I've never heard of the thing.
It's a different language from English or Japanese. They have a whole third one, in case you weren't aware.
It all just sounds like manic frogs croaking to me.
All right. Calm down with the racism, okay?
No, that's my thing. I'm extremely aggressively prejudiced against the French.
I'm developing a new personality, and it's mostly about hating French people. Wait, are we talking about 9/11?
I hate the French and the British.
At least they speak English. Am I right? In French...
if you want to call it that.
Their horrible, fucked up version. Yeah. In French, it is let's say, a heavily gendered language.
Well, it's a Latin romance language.
Yes. There's a lot of gender built into the actual grammatic structure of French. So recently, the author of and the creator of Gachiakuta, which is a manga I've mentioned before as being like one of the best shonen running right now, and basically of the last few years at least, and is one of the most beautiful looking comics that has come out probably in a decade. I mean, it is fucking knockout gorgeous. The creator is non-binary. They came out recently as non-binary. Or at least they prefer gender-neutral terms. But that's a little difficult to do in French. So during one of the publisher events, they kind of got in... The French publishers got into trouble because, like, they used some male pronouns and certain other French decorative descriptors to refer to them, and caused a lot of bizarre problems. And the author had to come out and say, well, I'm going to identify with female pronouns in French because that's kind of solves the problem there. And it's an interesting problem. It's something that we don't have in English. It's actually a problem that most people who speak English invent because they want to be fucking dickheads about it.
Yeah. Well, you see, it's funny you bring that up because I think that it is interesting. It exists in not opposition, but in tandem with, and again, I'm not a One Piece fan. We've been over this, but I have I have been reading up on a lot of One Piece adjacent stuff.
Wow.
And I know. And are you familiar with the gender controversy around the character Yamato from One Piece?
I am familiar with many gender controversies around One Piece, including that one, though I think that is the lesser of the important ones.
Well, I think it's just interesting because in that case, the character is female by the author's, word, but because Japanese isn't structurally gendered the same way Latin languages are, she has this personality quirk where she refers to herself in traditionally male pronouns and male speech patterns in Japanese, but those don't inherently imply a definitive gender of the user, which I guess had a lot of stupid people confused and angry about how she referred to herself or himself, I guess. In this case, so I think that's funny. Coming off of what you just said about that French comic.
Yamato, yes. What were you reading up on Yamato about? I don't. What piqued your interest?
I was doing some opposition research.
You were doing Oppo?
Some of the other. Yeah, I was doing Oppo.
You were doing Oppo on One Piece?
No, on a different anime podcast that happened to talk about this issue.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, let's keep that under wraps.
Yeah.
Yamato's an interesting character. Yamato's whole thing is sort of, the thing about Yamato is there is sort of a traditionalist thing I'm not a huge fan of in their character, where it's one of those, I wish I wasn't born a girl because I wanted to be your son type character. Which, has a checkered past, let's say. I'm not a huge fan of that, but they are a much better trans representation than the series had cultivated in the past. A lot of people talking about One Piece, obviously, because of the Netflix show coming out, which I am so excited to talk about when that drops.
When's that coming out? Do we have when the release date is?
Gotta be by the end of the year, right?
Anyway, I'll look it up. Keep going.
The thing that people talk about a lot, and it's getting a lot of love right now, and I think people are trying to forgive the past sins, even though I feel like those past sins maybe shouldn't be forgiven. Maybe we should take a little bit more time to address those things. I'm pretty sure I've talked a lot about how I would love One Piece unconditionally if Sanji and everything to do with Sanji didn't exist. But Sanji did spend time on the insanely offensive, stereotypical transgender island where he developed superpowers by how much he hated men in dresses. So I just want to say, hey, One Piece, you don't get to just fucking, drop a character that's I wish I was your son, and everyone's going to be chill. Well, apparently you can because people are chill. But, hey, I don't forget that shit.
Well, I mean, it can be said that because One Piece is such a long-running series, it's been coming out the last 30 years. I don't know where the character of Yamato exists in relative to when that event happened, but I think it's possible that Oda probably grew in his opinions over that time, right?
I'll put it in time here. So, Transgender Island happens during the time skip, one of the biggest events in One Piece. Kind of is the demarcation between old and new One Piece. Yamato exists and is mostly remarked upon in the final fight of the most recent island, which is the last couple years. But it's still the most recent One Piece out of everything. I believe they've just left medieval Japan Island.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be the Wano arc, right?
Yes, Wano is the medieval Japan Island. They call it Wano, but it literally is just medieval Japan.
Yeah, so I don't know. What year did the time skip happen? When? How long out has that been?
Probably more than a decade.
So it's not unfair to say that he's obviously grew in his opinion, since he decided to include that, right? He can't go back 20 years and pull a George Lucas at this point.
Yeah, so the time skip happened in 2010.
Oh, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Tell me, do you think that pop culture attitudes towards transgender people were exactly at a great point in 2010?
No, but I will say they were probably better than what Oda was doing at the time. I don't know. People, you can have your own feelings. I'm not the person who can bring down the fucking hammer.
I don't know Eiichiro Oda. I've never met Eiichiro Oda, but I have opinions about him.
I mean, if you are gonna be the fucking Walt Disney heir successor of manga, or I guess I should say the Osamu Tezuka heir.
Oh wow, you think that's his role in the industry?
He is the biggest thing in manga, easily. Like, no one comes even close to him.
Not even Toriyama?
No, not even close. Are you kidding me?
I don't know. Dragon Ball is huge. Dragon Ball is bigger to me than One Piece.
Dragon Ball is not bigger than One Piece. Dragon Ball is a fucking drop in the bucket next to One Piece.
Okay, we are devolving into comparing power levels here. Let's wrap it up.
Okay. I would. That was a whole other gender thing I wasn't even gonna get into. But okay, all right. That's enough. That's what, 3 episodes in a row we've done gender stuff.
Yeah. Imagine that.
That's crazy.
For some reason, it keeps popping up.
Yeah. Man, it's a good thing we're becoming experts.
Oh no. Oh, we're those guys. Those guys.
Yep, we're those guys. I think from all my vast reading, I think I've become somewhat of an expert on gender.
Oh, okay. Well, we gotta cut this up before we really put our foot in our mouths now.
I'm gonna put big blanks in here.
Yeah.
Long beeps. All right, that's what it's gonna
just bleep all this shit.
Yeah,
out.
like half the episode.
Yeah. All right, there you have it.
Wow.
I once again fell down the anime death spiral, and I guess I deserve this pain.
I can't believe it. I even watched an anime this week. We didn't even get to it.
What'd you watch?
I watched Gunbuster. The Blu-ray release came out, and so I went back and I watched the first episode of Gunbuster.
All right, well, save it for the save it for the sub podcast. The making of.
We should start doing bonus episodes where we talk about anime.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, goodbye. We're out of here.
Bye.
Bye. Look, I know what I sound like and how I talk. It's just a dialect. That's just a dialect thing. You can't blame me for that. Californian. I'm a Californian.